swinging around and coming in low. Boba rotates the ship face down into the pit. Never really seen a starship kind of take this sort of orientation before. You know, like if you took the Millennium Falcon and stood it up on its nose, it would look kind of weird. And it does look kind of weird here. He explains to Fennec that the Sarlacc is where he was trapped all those years ago, and that's where he'll find his armor. Fennec questions, in there? Adding that it's dissolved. But Boba corrects her when he says, not Beskar.
Nope.
And that right there, folks, settles an age-old debate. Because all you expanded universe folks, which I include myself, there was that whole argument that Boba's armor was never Beskar, that it was, a Durasteel or some kind of alloy or whatever. Okay, case closed. Beskar. All right. Oh, also, years with the Tuskens, right? So now that's that whole like, oh, wow, it was a lot longer than what we were observed.
At least 3 to 4.
Okay. I don't want to go spend too much time on this because we spent a whole lot of time talking about it already, but I'm going to bring it up again. The Clone Wars Season 2, Episode 21, R2 Come Home, the case of the helmet bomb. I had sort of said earlier on in one of our previous shows that I believed that it may have been a proxy. And I'm going to double down on that and say that I still believe that it is a proxy based on what Boba had just said, that his armor is in fact Beskar. And I say that because if a Beskar spear can survive an orbital bombardment without so much as a scratch, I don't believe that a Beskar helmet would be blown in half by an explosive designed to kill a single person.
Well, on top of that, the emotional attachment he shows to the ship.
Well, again, this is
you
it.
Think he's going to throw that away on a helmet?
This is kind of where I was at before, too, with this whole, like, man, the emotional connection between him and his father. And it has been an emotional journey, and there isn't a whole lot left. What do you do? Like,
you hold on to the pieces you have left.
If The Mandalorian and this show has told us anything, it's how important that these things are, this connection to his father, the whole chain code thing. Like I don't know if you remember Temuera's performance in that sequence, but he's like, here, look, this is my chain code. And this is like, he's proving the provenance of why it's his. And he's so passionate about it.
Yeah.
It just carries over that, of course, that's important to him.
Well, it's just like Din Djarin picking up the little knob out of the wreckage.
Well, exactly. The argument was made, I'd seen it online about how,
divisive.
Yeah. No, that helmet was destroyed. It's the same helmet. It can't be the same helmet. I'm like, well, no, it absolutely could be the same helmet, because if it's that important to him now, and then someone said, well, why would it be important to him as a kid, that as a kid he wouldn't appreciate the value of it? Why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't he?
Because it's not like he was just sitting there. He was learning.
Well, he was raised from birth by a Mandalorian. Like, there's a reason he doesn't go to his father's head. I don't even know if we've ever talked about that before, but that scene is really powerful. He doesn't go to his father's head or his father's body.
No.
Okay. He goes to the helmet. He touches his forehead to the helmet.
Yeah.
He doesn't cradle his body. So the helmet is his father.
It's the identity of,
right.
Except his father's legacy.
And so I think
George Lucas even said that Jango and Boba are effectively meant to be the same character. They're meant to be the same person.
Exactly.
I'm
not a bounty hunter, and I wasn't raised by Jango Fett. And right over there, I'm making a cardboard Boba Fett helmet. And if I can do that, a kid can make a Durasteel proxy and paint it up to look like something.
Absolutely.
Just a trick. He planned the plot. He got you know what I mean?
That's right.
He had the explosives to put in it. Like, making the helmet is the short stretch.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Mace identifies it. I mean, in that sequence where he's like, "Oh, it belonged to a bounty hunter that I killed on Geonosis." By the way, I highly recommend that you go back and revisit this episode, because the dialogue sequence between Mace Windu and Anakin is just like, you really get the sense of like how moved that Mace Windu is. He's like, he watched as I killed his father, and Mace does not sound too happy about it either. Like, he's emotionally affected by it. I want to talk about this, the animatic sequence again, because that comes up all the time about the helmet dent.
The dent from
the Cad Bane duel, the animatic that never got released as part of an episode. So I just want to point out, going back as far as that episode in the Clone Wars, or even Attack of the Clones for that matter, the helmet dent was always there.
Mm-hmm.
It was already there. So we see it in Attack of the Clones. That is Jango Fett as he's facing down. Presently, I don't know if that's when Mace is charging him down, or if that's the Reek is charging at him at that one.
But that is I think that's him leaping off the gantry.
That is the scene from the arena.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you see the helmet bomb there itself. They both have the dent in it. And then we get to that animatic where suddenly there's no dent. We get the blaster shot. And then several, I've got the Empire Strikes Back. There's a shot of Cobb Vanth, and then the re-armored Boba.
And it's a little bit like the red spot on Jupiter. It kind of moves around a bit.
Well, there it is, right? And so here, but this is the ridiculousness of the whole thing, right? It's the whole idea of, well, it's not that the dent's not in the same place, and it's like, you do understand that this is a movie prop, and that the movie prop from Attack of the Clones is probably sitting on some dude's desk somewhere, and we've had to remake the prop, so it's an approximation, right?
Yeah. Oh, we got a comment.
We do. We've got a comment this week coming in here. Facebook user says, did Jango Fett have the same aspirations as the Emperor to live forever through cloning? Well, that's an interesting question, and I don't really know what the answer is to that. What do we know about Jango? All he asked for in return for being the template to the clone army was an unaltered clone, which we take for granted that he raised as his own son, at least to the age of what, 10? 10-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, at least.
Do you think that was Jango's way of getting out of the game by, raising a son and maybe retiring from bounty hunting, but just, that one last job to set me up forever?
I wouldn't say he had machinations as deep as the Emperor, but I would say that it was effectively a way to double his lifespan.
I guess so, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Have the Fett name known for longer after the fact.
Yeah. Perhaps if he had got him to adulthood, and then he would have, like the mantle, like Batman, perhaps he would have been Jango Fett.
Maybe.
Proper.
Maybe.
Again.
Yeah. Just
it seems like
his
that's
father's name.
That's kind of more in line with his personality than like an army of Jangos. Or at least like an eternal life. I think it was just like, and perhaps he could keep the ball rolling some fashion. But I think it was long-term, short-term thinking, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. But it certainly ties into the emotional journey that Boba's gone in right now, where it's like, for a while there, I just assumed that, Boba was just sort of, the legacy line. I'm just a simple man making my way in the galaxy. Like the whole cyclical nature. It's like, oh, so Boba really is the living prophecy, right? And then now it's like, well, wait a minute. We're going to talk about it here shortly, because it's coming up right next. Is they're going to have this big conversation, this big, deep conversation about setting up the house again, and
the whys of
right. And he goes into like the whole notion of like, tired of working for people who are going to get us killed. Like suddenly he's breaking the mold and breaking away from that.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty stark contrast to, is all this sort of, at least I perceive it as this affectation towards his father, but maybe it's just not in the healthiest way. Right.